Yo, what's up? On today's broadcast, I'm going to be talking about why an emergency fund is non-negotiable. So currently, everyone is aware that we are in a financial period where people feel really stressed, right? People feel really stressed. So usually I kick game and I tell people, my thoughts on different things. But now we're going to talk about the money, finance. Guys, having an emergency fund is non-negotiable. And it seems so, but this is where a lot of guys mess up. So without further ado, I'm going to stitch some videos from TikTok, and then I'm going to share my opinion as we progress.
Guys, I'm gonna put you on real quick. My cousin, single mom, was 3 days from getting it. She was able to get $9,400 within 24 hours deposited into her account. All she needed was to have a credit score of 420 and above and to bring in $1,200 a month in verifiable income. All right. That can be from working your regular job, that can be from benefits like SSI, Social Security, or that can even be from you hustling DoorDash. All right.
Guys, um, right now, what I want to discuss is the importance of having an emergency fund. We live in a time right now where financially it's like things can happen in your life and you don't want to be in a situation where you are forced to have to ask people for help, ask others for money, be in a situation where you're indebted to others. The best thing to do is to find a way to save an emergency fund. A lot of times we see a lot of content about financial freedom, financial independence, retire early. A lot of these catchphrases and buzzwords, and the movement and the idea behind it, I definitely can respect. But a lot of us, and I speak for me, before I ever built an emergency fund, I was thinking too far down the road. I'm thinking about investing. You see all of these ads about Bitcoin and the next big uh digital coin that's going to come about that's going to completely change everything for you. When in reality, guys, you got to go back to the basics. You should be thinking about how can I save $5,000? How can I save $10,000? Save about 3 to 6 months of your total living expenses before you start thinking about investing, before you start thinking about Bitcoin and all this other stuff. And if you're like me, you're probably looking at videos about finances. You're trying to get out of the rat race, right? You don't want to be living in a situation where you turn 40 or 45 or 50 years old and you're working a job that you dislike. The whole point of life is to figure out a way to have it your way, to live life on your own terms, to have independence. So when I started researching this, and I've been in this field for about 3 to 4 years, really trying and failing, trying and failing. And then I started having success. And what I realized, guys, is that if you can save small goals, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $30,000, you can get to in in cash. I'm talking liquid. You definitely can get to 40, 50 to even $100,000 liquid, guys. And most people would say once you get to about, I would say about $40,000, that's when things start to change, because you should have in your savings about how much you make per year. So let's say you make after taxes, let's say you make $45,000 a year, right? The goal should be to have that much in savings. Now, you're not going to get there overnight, guys. You're not going to get there overnight. And I think it's just like weight loss. You're not going to lose weight overnight. Everybody wants to have this, oh, how can I lose 10 pounds in a month? How can I lose 30 pounds in a month? The goal shouldn't be the time limit. And one thing all the time, my mom always told me, she would always encourage me to like go to school, focus on academics. And I used to tell her this was, over a decade ago. But I used to like, Mom, like college is 4 years, 6 years in some cases. I could go do something else. And she would tell me, but that time is going to pass anyway. Guys, I know a lot of you probably don't want to save or have to look at it like you are depriving yourself. That's where most people get tripped up at. They get tripped up because they're looking at it the wrong way. We look at it like we are depriving ourselves from something, but you're really rewarding yourself. For every dollar you save, that's a dollar you don't have to make. Imagine paying yourself to not have to work years in advance. That's how I look at retirement. That's how I look at saving. And in my past, I don't anymore. But I used to smoke marijuana. And back in the days when I smoked marijuana, when I was in my early 20s, I started wanting to make more money. And then I came to a crossroads where it was like, okay, if I go into the trucking industry, or even if I go in the world of academia, and marijuana was legal, by the way, but and decriminalized, I'm like, yeah, it's decriminalized, yeah, it's legal, but in a lot of places they're still drug testing and stuff. It was a really confusing time. And I just made up my mind that I would just focus on making money. And as a result, guys, what I would say is that making money is really not the hard part. Keeping your money is the hard part. Saving your money is the hard part. Investing your money is the hard part. Like with the right skills, guys, and this is why life seems difficult, because it's like we make it harder than what it actually is. If someone told you, hey, eat healthy, you have a greater chance at living a longer, healthier life. That seems so simple, but most people still going to not do it. If I say, hey, save $500 a month, and at the end of the year, you will have $6,000, and then do that for the next 6 years, and you won't have any more financial problems. Most people will look at that and say, oh, yeah, I hear you, but I don't want to do that. And I'm saying this because I'm speaking from experience. This is how I was. This is me. I'm speaking on me. I was like this. I have a friend named Terry, and she's in the finance industry, and she's very intelligent. And she gave me so much game and information about investing, saving money, um, things like that. And I reached a point where I was like, okay, if I just follow the directions that she laid out for me, I would be in a better position. Simple. Now the implementing it is what's difficult, right? Getting 3 to 6 months of your living expenses. That can be difficult. But objects in motion tend to stay in motion. And I'm going to show you reasons of why it's important to have, as well as what happens if you don't have it, right? So let's get to it.
Straight up, if you're not rich, you're not comfortable anymore. I'm not rich. I'm not that comfortable. Like I'm okay, but I always want more. But it seems nowadays, with articles coming out every week, I make 350K a year, and I feel like I can't get by. I make 250 by myself, and I can't figure it out. What's going on? You need like a year and a half emergency fund, especially if you have kids. Forget it. Like to like feel like pretty comfortable. Because think about it, if you lose your job, it's taking longer and longer to get another one, especially if you want one that is equal to the same pay that you just had. And you have to pay for childcare. And you have to feed your kids. Like if they're little, like they don't know what's happening. Like, you still gotta buy them stuff. You gotta go to birthday parties and buy those kids things. So yeah, you're just not comfortable anymore unless you're rich and unless you have like an 18-month emergency fund to last you a very long time. Straight up, if you're not rich, you're not comfortable.
And see, guys, this is so true, guys. And I gotta play some videos like this because you have to create an emergency fund, guys. Like, forget all of the other stuff you're seeing on the internet about get rich quick, um, having this much money, I make this much money per year. It's not even about how much money you make. If you make enough money to take care of all of your needs, but then you spend everything that's in excess, it doesn't really matter how much money you make. A person can make $2 million, but if they're living a $3 million life, they might as well, they're still in the rat race. It doesn't matter how much money you make at a certain point. It matters about your habits, and you're in the game that's not advantageous for you. It's designed to have you in a rat race. That's what it's about. So in order for you to beat the game, you gotta put some distance in between you and anything that could go wrong. If you have a you have to have your insurances for in case something happens on that end. Health insurance, life insurance, car insurance, right? Boom. So that covers that. Um then you have your emergency fund, which is like self-insurance. You're ensuring that, hey, if things don't work out as planned, I'ma do this. This is going to help me. Guys, I'm telling you, having about at least 25, and I'm talking for the average person, right? Working class people. I'm not talking about if you making $500,000 or something like that. This conversation is the same principles could apply, but the numbers would change. So if you're making, uh, let's say, $350,000 a year, I would say that you would probably want an emergency fund of around 70,000 to $90,000, about roughly 15 to 25% of your income. If you're making that kind of money, you would kind of want to have 100,000 just kind of like tucked away, just in case, right? But for the normal people, people like me, people that's I'm not making $350,000 a year. I'm not making $300,000 a year yet. So for the people that's like me that's grinding, and you're in the trenches with me, everybody that's making, 100,000, but you pay 20,000 in taxes, you're walking away with 80. My people that's making 80, but you pay taxes, you walking away with 60. Yeah, I'm speaking to you guys. My people that's making 140,000, you still pay taxes, you making a good 10, $11,000 per month. I'm talking to you, right? This is where we come up.
How much do you have in your emergency fund right now? Hi, my name's Nicole, and I'm looking like a hot mess, but I also make content around paying off debt, living frugally.
Bear with me, it's loading. But this is where we come up, guys. Don't give up. Keep the faith and put that money up. Put that money up. Stack that money. Stack that bread. Because at the end of the day, guys, your life is gonna be different 3 years from now. And you don't want to be 4 years into the future wishing that you would have started putting money up, right? You don't want to be in that position, right? Let's try this again.
I'm currently, how much do you have in your emergency fund right now? Hi, my name's Nicole, and I'm looking like a hot mess, but I also make content around paying off debt, living frugal, the whole deal. I'm currently on a debt payoff journey, and I have made quite a dent recently to pay off my $30,000 in debt. I have about 7.5 left. Thousand, I mean. Which is super exciting, but I'm just kind of curious, like, hey, I need to start saving up for an emergency fund. So I'm wondering what you have done to save up for it, as well as tips or tricks that you think might be important to know. How much do you have in your emergency fund right now?
Guys, so many people, are struggling right now, guys. Like, rent is sky high. Rent is sky high. People are struggling. You don't want to be in a situation where if something goes wrong, you lose it all. That's what the emergency fund is for. It's like you also want the ability to say no. You want the ability to say no. You want to be able to say, you know what, I don't want to do that. If you don't have enough resources to say no, then you're a slave. If you can't say, nah, I don't want to do it and I'm not going to do it, that's the only freedom you really have. That's one of the last few things, guys, that we have left is our ability to say no. Once you lose your ability to say no, you're a slave. You have to do whatever the people that's paying you want you to do, even if you don't want to do it. Your son's or daughter's birthday is next week. Are you going to go to that birthday? No, you have to deny your kid's birthday because of a job. One of your family members pass away. Are you going to go to their funeral? No, you can't go to their funeral because why? Your job. Is your job more important than your family? Is your job more important than, you know, the people that you're actually working the job for? But if you don't have an emergency fund, if you don't have the ability to say F you money to say, you know what, I got $60,000 put away. Worst come to worst, I'll be okay. Hey, listen. If we get into if it gets on the job and it gets too serious, you got to be able to say, yeah, I'm not feeling it. And there's a balance. It's a balance in that because you also want to be able to stay in the game.
Why is everything so damn expensive nowadays? I got a medium fries from McDonald's yesterday. It was $4 and change for just a medium fries. I just got a mini curry chicken from Golden Crust. That's why my tongue is yellow. I used to pay $5.25 for this, plus you get a free canned soda. It's now $8, plus there's no canned soda. When will this inflation stop? I am tired. Why is everything so damn expensive nowadays? I got a medium fries from McDonald's yesterday. It was $4 and change for just a medium fries. I just got a mini curry chicken from Golden Crust. That's why my tongue is yellow. I used to pay $5.25 for this, plus you get a free canned soda. It's now $8, plus there's no canned soda. When will this inflation stop? I am tired. Why is everything...
And see, that's what I'm saying. If you don't have your bread up, if you're not caked up when you wake up, you baked, you're cooked. If you're not caked up when you wake up, you're cooked. You're baked. It's over. You gotta be caked up when you wake up, or you're cooked. It's over with. But here's the good news, guys. If you start now, a year from now, 2 years from now, you will be in the surplus. Baby steps, guys. That's all it takes is baby steps. And a lot of times, it's easy for us to get in a position where we're angry, we're mad. Listen, just save your money. Just save your coins. That's all you got to do. Save your money. Save, if you could save $500, save $500. Save $1,000. Do the math. 5 times 6. You feel what I'm saying? 5 times 12. You could get to 3,000 to 6,000. You could get, once you get to about 25,000, you shouldn't be looking back. You now got enough money to where if worse come to worse, you could walk away. You always want to have enough money put up to where you can walk away if you need to walk away. That's the key. That's where your strength is. You don't want to be in a situation where you don't even have an emergency fund. You don't even, you're like, nah, man, like, that's dead. We're not doing that no more, yo. It's time to boss up, right? So here's the challenge. I'm going to give you guys a challenge. I'm going to go to my TikTok. Here's the challenge, guys. Put some bread away.
Okay. Now, what I would say is your first goal should be a $5,000 goal. Get to $5,000, even if it takes you a year, even if it takes you 2 years. Don't care about how long it takes you. Get to $5,000. With $5,000, you should be able to cover most emergencies. Then save and double up and get to 10,000. That way, we're getting closer to getting that 3 to 6 months emergency fund. Then once we get a year worth of emergency fund, that means if anything happens in this year, you lose your job, you change jobs, you start working on a new career, you got enough money saved up, preferably however much you make per year, you want to start having that money in savings. Now, when I say this, I want to tell you guys, this is baby steps. This is not happening okay. Now,
it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen overnight. But guess what? Stay in the game. Just stay in the game, Chico. Just stay in the game. One thing I admire, and I gotta give credit where credit is due. One thing I admire about the way politicians move is even if they lose an election, they back 2 or 4 years from now. You gotta respect that. You gotta respect that. That's one thing I gotta respect. Even if they lose, they back 2 or 4 years from now. That's the mentality you gotta have. You tripping off that the last quarter wasn't a good quarter. The last year wasn't a good year. Move on. Where you gonna be 2 years from now? Where you gonna be 4 years from now? You gonna still be hollering about what happened last year? Man, go get you some money. And then when you get your resources up, you get caked up. When you wake up, you won't be cooked. But if you are dependent on the kindness of others, you're cooked. If you're dependent on someone being nice to you, you're cooked. This is a numbers game. Stack some days, stack some weeks. That's one thing I don't worry about because it's in me. It's not on me. It's in me. So it's like, what do I mean by that? I'm not trying to hit you with catchphrases, but what I'm saying is that I really believe even if I were to lose it all, I'll be able to get it back and then some because it's in me. Like I got it. Like if I were to quit, I should have quit a decade ago. I should have quit 15 years ago. I made it too far to quit now. You in the game now. And I ain't gonna lie, misery loves company, guys. So please beware. Keep miserable people away from you. get your cake up. That's been my message today. God bless. Peace.